Hey, it is 12 noon on Friday, which means it's time for this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time, to help you mastermind to grow your real estate business. And what we're talking about today is something really essential for when you first get your real estate license. It's what you're doing in the first week. Whether this is the first week, the first couple of weeks, the first month, the first things it is that you should be doing once you have a real estate license to ensure your success in real estate. So that's what we're talking about today. My name is John Chrismo. You're watching State of Real Estate. State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. My name is John Chrismo, and this show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time, as well as pretty much every day, dropping videos to help you build a successful real estate career. We're your source for that here at the Tampa School of Real Estate. And what we're talking about today, and this is especially important for new agents, and we're talking about the first week in real estate. Your first 7 days after you're licensed, meaning right after you pass your exam. And you're probably wondering, well, what do I do now? Okay, you've been studying for this exam, you've been going through reviewing all this content, and now you've passed your exam, but now you're like, okay, well, what do I do now? What's next? And the number one thing that you want to do once you've passed your exam, so you'll initially be inactive. Your license initially starts out as inactive. If you've been studying, you probably already know that. And you can't practice any real estate, so you need to go join a broker. Now, if you haven't already been interviewing brokers, if you haven't already planned out what it is that you're going to be doing, that's what you need to be doing. So before you even talk to brokers, and you could do this before you're licensed even, but if you haven't done it already, this is going to be so essential to your success, is a little bit of planning. And you just want to answer these simple questions, which you probably did this to a certain extent already. Are you going to be full-time or part-time? And if you are part-time, what is the transition period? How many months is it going to take you to transition to full-time if you even want to do that? Maybe you're just planning on doing this part-time and doing it that way. That's okay too. So when it is that you're looking to transition, what your focus is going to be. So when I say what is your focus, I'm referring to, are you going to be focusing on buyers or sellers? The area that you're going to be focusing on, the type of client. And really just starting out doing like a little question and answer session with yourself, not with any potential brokers, because if you haven't figured out already, all the brokers are all going to be telling you how great they are and why you should join them more than anybody else and why they're better than everybody else. Every broker you talk to is going to talk about why they're better than every other broker. And there is a best broker that's out there, but not a best broker for everyone, but a best broker for you. But in order to find what that best broker is for you, you've got to at first understand who you are. Be able to see who fits your puzzle piece. So answering these basic questions here about, when it is that you're going to be working, how it is that you want to transition, who is it that you're going to be targeting? Are you going to be focusing on buyers and sellers? And you might say, well, John, I want any business I can get. I don't argue with you. I don't disagree with you on that. Take any business you could get, but when you're seeking out business, when you're searching for business, when you're looking for leads, who are you going to target? Is it going to be buyers or sellers? A lot of new agents, especially when you start to look into this further, they're hesitant to work with sellers because working with a seller, you're going to need a lockbox for the property, you need a sign for the property. There's going to be more upfront expense with sellers. But with sellers, overall, it's a lower amount of time that it takes you to work with them to close the deal, as opposed to buyers take a longer period of time, but there's almost zero investment that you have working with a buyer compared to more investment up front when you're working with a seller. So maybe you're going to be targeting buyers for that reason. Maybe you already have a friend or family member or somebody that wants to buy property. The next thing I would say is the area. Now, again, I'm not saying that you're going to refuse business because that's not your farm area, that's not your specialty area or anything like that. You get business that falls in your lap, you take it and you run with it. But when you're trying to seek out business, so maybe you're looking for the ideal area for you to hold an open house or to go door knocking or going passing out flyers or being part of community events or whatever it is that you're doing to establish a presence in that area. You don't want to just say Tampa, you don't want to just say Miami or Fort Lauderdale or Orlando or Jacksonville or any of these major metropolitan areas. You want to hone in on a small single neighborhood where there's maybe 100 homes, give or take. But maybe now 100 homes where you could get a foothold in there and start showcasing yourself to the people that live in that neighborhood that you are the go-to expert for real estate. So find out what that area is that you want to focus on. Then for the type of client that you want to target. What type of person are you going to be most interested in? Is it a first-time home buyer? Is it maybe, in Tampa, there's a really good example of this, is we have a military base here. We have MacDill Air Force Base. And there's a lot of veterans, of retired military people, veterans, of active duty military people, of people that are relocating in and out of the area. That could be another type of client you're targeting. If you have any background or any experience, maybe you're some sort of first responder, tap into your base of people. Now, this is something you should be doing if you haven't done it already. This should be your day one. Okay, you've got your real estate license. Let me start making a plan for success. And look, I've said this a couple times before. If you don't have a plan, you're going to fall being part of somebody else's plan. So if you don't already have a plan, you're going to be part of somebody else's plan. And what do you think is going to be the most lucrative, if you're working your own plan or if you're working somebody else's plan? Well, if you're working somebody else's plan, that's going to be most profitable for them. They always structure the plans that are going to benefit them the most. Now, look, it's okay if you end up being part of somebody's plan, but if it fits into your larger plan of what you're trying to do. And this little planning stage that you're doing up front is really going to help you understand, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing in real estate. You maybe want to start running through some numbers, maybe some budgeting stuff. If you want to get into marketing, maybe dealing with a marketing budget of how much money you want to spend to maybe send out mailers, to do Facebook ads, to do Google pay-per-click ads, or whatever the case may be, and also allocate a little bit of that budget to training on this stuff, because it's very easy to just go out there and spend this money. Google will even give you a free credit. They'll give you like a free 100 or 75 or 150 of, I don't know what their current offer is right now, but they will give you free money to advertise. They'll send you postcards, they'll send you emails, there'll be promos from wherever that says, hey, look, your first $100 is on us. Come try out the advertising. Now, that $100, that'll be spent like that, especially if you don't know what you're doing, especially if you're new to digital advertising. So part of this budget, you want to try to focus on some training. And there's a bunch of stuff you can find out there for free, or maybe you're paying for this training. Maybe you're paying for a course that's going to show you how to get the most out of whatever money it is that you're spending, whether it's Google giving you that first $100 up front or you're investing money in the advertising. But one of the things I always stress as a new agent is to not jump right into advertising. So look, I have a degree in marketing and I got my real estate license. This was after I had my degree in marketing, and I went into this thinking, okay, marketing, advertising, I'm going to build a business. Well, you're not having it's like basically marketing something that doesn't exist, that you're marketing a business that isn't a business. That you're marketing a restaurant, but that restaurant doesn't know how to make a hamburger. So before you start marketing, maybe say, hey, look, I got this hamburger. Do you want to try it? To maybe your friends and family, to your sphere of influence, to the people that you're immediately around. And that's a great source for your first few clients. You maybe did some training classes on how to build this hamburger, and the figurative hamburger we're talking about here is you doing a real estate sale, you doing this process of taking somebody to the closing of a sale. So you're going through this process with them. And now once you start to figure things out, you start to become a little bit more like McDonald's, of where you've got systems in place and you could cook like 30 hamburgers at once. When you're first starting out, if you don't have the training, you're going to go in there and you're going to say, oh man, all right, did I burn this burger? Oh, I got to throw that one out. I'm going to have to start all over from the beginning. That's the same thing that's going to happen in real estate. And this is why you want to try to plan for this stuff a little bit, to understand what you don't know. And when you have this plan in place, it's going to become a lot more obvious of what broker is going to be important for you, which one's going to be the best fit for you. They're all going to tell you they're the best, and they're going to tell you why they're the best. You need to ask yourself why they're the best, why they fit into your plan the best more than anything. A big part of that, again, is training and mentorship. Having somebody that's taking you through this process where they've got a proven system to take people from not knowing anything about real estate to actually selling real estate. And this is right there before, again, you even talk to any sort of brokers, that you want to start laying out this plan of attack. Just some overall questions like this. And diving deeper into where you're going to find, if it's buyers you're targeting, okay, what are you doing now to get buyers? So what we're going to talk about next is all the different lead sources, whether that's Zillow, whether that's Realtor.com, maybe Craigslist you're utilizing for some leads. Maybe it's just people that you know. We'll talk about some of these different ways to generate leads and the pros and cons in both of them, especially for a new agent. But first, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Stick with us. I'm John Christopher. You're watching State of Real Estate. Are you studying for your Florida real estate exam? If you are, you need to check out our Pass First Try strategy. You're going to love this. It's 4 steps that we break down the process to study for your Florida real estate exam. So you're set up to pass your Florida real estate exam, because that's what you're studying for, right? To pass your exam. It's 4 steps. Number 1, you learn the information. You've got to learn this to be able to pass the exam, but it doesn't stop at learning. Step 2, you've got to reinforce the basic, simple, key concepts. As you learn this information, keep reviewing the simple things. You don't need to know everything, but you got to review these basic key concepts. Step 3, you've got to test your knowledge. The exam's going to test your knowledge, so if you don't test your knowledge in advance, you won't find out if you know what you think you know until you take the exam. And then step 4 is be confident and prepared, because even if you know this material, you need to be confident that you know the material. Check out the full strategy at PassFirstTry.com. That's PassFirstTry.com. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate, where we're talking about your first 7 days in real estate. And if you've had your license more than 7 days and you haven't done these things already, get to it, because you need to start doing this right now. Number 1 was starting to lay out this plan. And a really big important part of this plan is your sources of leads. Going back to that hamburger analogy here, if you don't have any people to sell the hamburgers to, what are you doing making hamburgers? Doesn't matter how good you are at making hamburgers if you don't have people to sell the hamburgers to. Now, finding these people, these sources of leads, so one you're going to find out about fairly quickly is Zillow. Probably already know about them, but you'll probably start getting calls from them saying, hey, look, give us your money to be featured on Zillow. And look, let's first talk, because I told you we're going to go over the pros and cons of each of these here, because there are agents that are very successful using a platform like Zillow. Now, just to make a long story short, as a new agent, I would not recommend spending money on any of these platforms like this that do the lead generation for you. Because what happens is it separates you from understanding the money it takes to get each of these leads here and how valuable each lead actually is. So that's reason number 1 why I don't think this is good for new agents, is you start investing money in this right away, you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to burn some burgers. You're going to throw them out. The only problem is now that was like a $200 burger that you just burned, and now you're burning through another one. And if you don't have any sales coming in yet, that's going to become very expensive, and that's going to bankrupt you very quickly unless you could figure this out very quickly of how to start being successful. Not to say that you couldn't be successful, but it's not what I recommend as a new agent. Maybe once you have some success, you've got some cash flow coming in, maybe that's where you want to advertise on a site like this. And this doesn't just go for Zillow.com. This goes for Realtor.com. This goes for Trulia, which is also actually owned by Zillow. This goes for like Homes.com, all of these different home search websites where you're going to get, it's amazing how many businesses are out there that feed off of the real estate industry. And this lead generation, it's not just the big companies like this. You'll get, random text messages or phone calls from who knows where saying they can help you out. Yelp is a big one. Yelp, I think, is the biggest waste of money a real estate agent can do because, maybe you go on Yelp to go look at some food. I'll check out Yelp when I'm sitting at a restaurant and I want to see, okay, what does the food look like? What looks good here? What picture looks delicious? But I'm not going on there looking for a real estate agent, and most people don't either. So that's a waste of money. Don't listen to the salespeople from any of these types of organizations. Again, you want to have your plan in place so you don't fall part of these guys' plan. Because their plan is to make money off of you. Yes, to give you leads, to provide value to you, but if you don't know what to do with those leads, you're just throwing your money away. You're just giving it to these companies and they're profiting, they're winning. Not to say, again, that you can't be successful with this down the road, but I wouldn't do it to start out with. So any sort of online website where you're paying for leads, I would just put a big fat no on those, or at least a not yet. No, it starts off with a not yet. Maybe someday you'll want to do that, but don't start off with that one. So how else can you get leads? Now, something that's really popular is open houses. Open houses are probably one of the best sources of leads. It's probably one of the best things to do as a new agent. Now, this isn't necessarily something that you want to do in your first 7 days that you're holding an open house, because that's probably a little soon for that. But what we're talking about here is planning your sources of leads, of figuring out, okay, what you're going to do. Because look, let me tell you this. If you want to generate leads through open houses, you're going to need what? You're going to need a house to hold open. And there's some creative ways you can kind of get around this here. Maybe you're holding your house open. Maybe you're finding a for sale by owner that'll allow you to hold an open house. Maybe you're finding another agent that's allowing you to hold an open house. But when you're planning on this, maybe you want a brokerage that will have properties for you to hold as open houses. And now, why open houses? We've done episodes of State of Real Estate before on open houses, and the reason why they're such a great way to lead generate as a new agent is what it does is it allows you to have like a sandbox to play in, to test out your communication skills with people. And you'll be able to see, especially in hindsight after holding an open house, the people that have came in and the people that walked out where you didn't build a relationship with, where you have zero chance of doing business with them, and the people that you started to build a relationship with, and the questions you might have asked, the things you might have said, that ultimately resulted in them wanting to maybe use you as their buyer's agent. Or maybe they're a nosy neighbor that's thinking about, selling their property, and now you're, again, developing the relationship. So that's what's really powerful about open houses. It allows you to have this testing ground to find out, okay, do I have, are my communication skills it? What was it that I said to those people that made them want to work with me? What was it I said to these people that made them not want to work with me? And what makes this really a great testing ground is, again, you have a constant flow, ideally a constant flow of people coming into this open house. We've done some other videos on open houses, so make sure you check out those if you're planning to do open houses. But that's a great source of leads. Now, the downsides, the cons to open houses. So it is a time investment. It's a time investment. And if you don't properly get exposure for your open houses, you've got to make sure that you get the word out about the open house. If you're holding an open house and no one knows you're holding an open house, is anybody going to show up? No. And is it a good use of your time if no one shows up to the open house? No. So don't hold open houses unless you're going to take the necessary action to get people to the open house. And that's not just putting out a bunch of signs. That's maybe going out and knocking on the doors of the neighborhood, inviting them to the open house. That's maybe spending a little bit of money to advertise, to send out postcards, to do Facebook ads, something like that to help get the word out. Because if you've held an open house with nobody showing up, you know how much of a waste of time it is, and it gives you a bad taste in your mouth about open houses. So if you're going to use open houses, make sure, again, any way it is that you're going to use to generate leads, you don't want to have a million ways to generate leads. You want to have a couple things that you're doing so you can become expert at holding open houses. If you could become an expert at holding open houses and generating leads from an open house, now you could start to build that into a business. A business is just a series of systems. That's what a business is. It's systems, your proprietary systems that you're gluing together that generate leads, that generate sales, that generate closings, that get you paid. That's what this whole system is. And when you've got this systematized, this is where you could really start to grow into a team of people, where it's not just you, but you could have other people. You have maybe a whole team of people holding open houses all over your market and generating leads and building this into something that really can be profitable. And especially when you do this right, these are really low cost. But again, there's the cons of it. This does have a learning curve to it. This does rely on you making sure that you're getting people in the open house and that you're capturing their information when they're at the open house and that you're following up with them after the open house. So open house is a really great way to generate leads. Now, one of the things that we've talked about already that we could also talk about it on its own is door knocking. Now, I know a lot of people will have some hesitation to going out there door to door, knocking on doors, going to introduce themselves as the real estate professional in the area, going to introduce them and see if they have any need for real estate services. So you might be hesitant, and look, you don't have to do that. Again, that's why you want to create your plan. If you go to a brokerage where they say, hey, look, you've got to do door knocking, that's the way we have all of our agents generate leads is door knocking, and you hate door knocking, I mean, that's going to be pretty obvious that it's not a good fit for you at that brokerage. But maybe you are going to do door knocking. Maybe you want to do that, and you want to be trained properly on how to door knock effectively, how to really cultivate a following within a farm area through door knocking. And this is one of the most effective ways. So talking about the pros of door knocking, there's nothing better than a face-to-face conversation with somebody. A phone call isn't as good. A text message definitely isn't as good. An email is nothing. Maybe putting some sort of ad online. They've got to see that ad like 7 or 8, 9 times before they might even take notice of that ad that they've seen. Door knocking, you're right there face-to-face with somebody. Now the downside, the con, is this is very time intensive. This is not something that's scalable. So this is a great thing to start out with, but it's not scalable. It's not going to scale into something where, because you only have one of you. Maybe you scale it out through a team of people, but this is going to have a very high time cost to it. Whereas advertising platforms like this, these have a very low time cost because they're doing all the work for you, but it has a higher money cost. Open house kind of in the middle because you do have to maybe spend some money, maybe for the refreshments you're going to have at the open house to get exposure for the open house and all that other stuff. And it also is going to be an investment of your time. This, again, is probably one of the top things I'd recommend for new agents. Door knocking, very high time investment, but once you do find a couple of people that need to buy or sell, it very quickly pays for itself. But as you start to scale, that's not going to be something really too sustainable. Now, one of the other ways I know that's really popular with people, that at least they really want to have this, is a website. Having some sort of website. Now, a website is a great thing to have, but I would say especially when you're first starting out, it's not essential. It's not something that you need to say, oh, I need my website, otherwise my real estate business is not going to be successful. Your website will not make you successful, but it wouldn't hurt. It would help, definitely. Now, you don't want to necessarily rely on this for lead generation. And even if you're using this term website, if you're not using the term landing page, if you're not using the term funnel or anything like that, and you're just thinking a website, do not rely on the website to generate leads. Because with a website, so what's the top real estate website out there? Well, that's Zillow. And they've got, I don't know how many people every single day working on making this and ensuring that they stay the top platform to search for real estate on. And it's almost impossible to beat out these big name companies, Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, all these different home search websites to beat them out with search engine optimization, at least as search engine optimization is as it is today. Who knows if there'll be some shift in the future where Google and the other search providers really just Google for the most part, or who knows, maybe Google even loses some market share, but maybe they stop emphasizing these big companies, maybe they put more emphasis on local businesses. Who knows if that's something they're going to do. But with the website, this is basically the equivalent of opening a storefront. That you're opening some storefront, and let's say you open a storefront. Where would you want to open a retail store? Would you rather open the retail store in a busy mall or out in the middle of nowhere? Well, you'd probably say, well, I'd want to be in the busy mall because there's all people walking through there. And you're right. You do want a retail store in a place that has high foot traffic. Not out in the middle of nowhere where somebody's got to drive who knows how long to get to it. But when you create a website, you're creating a website out in the middle of nowhere, in the deepest parts of the internet, because you don't have any roads leading to you. Now, the roads that lead to your website, these are maybe going to be other websites. Maybe you tweet about your website. Maybe you put it on your Facebook, you make a post about it, and you have all these roads leading to the websites, and they're really not so much roads if it's, just on your Facebook or Twitter or something like that. They're more so sidewalks to your website. That maybe somebody scrolling through there, they'll make it onto your website, but who knows whether or not that results in any business. So if you're using a website, you usually have to pay to get people to your website. You have to pay to install an interstate that funnels a ton of people into your website. And ideally, at that point, you're not just sending them to a website with a bunch of pages they're going to get lost on, but a landing page that has a very clear goal and intent to get them to, hey, get this free guide that you need to know to buy properties. So if you already have maybe some sort of internet marketing background, then maybe look down the landing page. And again, I would not say website. I would cross that right out and say landing page. And if you're not sure what the difference is between a website or a landing page, don't waste your time trying to figure it out. If you already know what that is, okay, maybe that's what you're going to leverage as a source of leads. But be careful about this one because this is a huge time suck that doesn't always generate business, especially not up front, not at first, and not with some money put behind it. So I wouldn't worry about that. Don't worry about, setting up a Facebook business page or an Instagram business page or all these other little social profiles. So let's talk about if you do want to use social. Now, when should somebody use social? Well, let me ask you this. Are you an avid user of social? Do you find yourself on Facebook? Do you have a large following on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever platform it is? Do you have a large following on there? If you don't, I wouldn't use social. If you already do have a large following on there, start using this platform to tell your story. To tell your story of what it is that you're doing. And even if you're before your license, you should be telling your story that you're getting licensed. I see so many people come to take our classes and they don't want to post anything online because they don't want people to know that they're getting their real estate license, because what if they fail the exam? They don't want to look like a failure to their friends. No, you want to go out there and share your story, because that's going to help people that already know you, that already trust you, at least to some degree, to start to understand that, oh, look, this person is in real estate. Oh, I need to sell my house. Maybe I should give them a call. Oh, they just got licensed. Oh, look, they're out showing houses today. Oh, they're out on some builder tour today. So that's the way you want to really use social, where we're talking about organic social. Organic social means that you're not paying for it, that you're just using this platform organically without having to pump any money into it for ads to try to generate business. Now, there's also the social side that is going to be paid. And if you do this correctly, this is probably going to be one of your most cost-effective sources of leads. But the problem is, this is a very steep learning curve for something like this. And again, whenever you're having to pay for leads through any sort of sites or anything like that, it's going to involve not only, again, the investment in understanding and learning the process, but also money. And especially when you're brand new at real estate, you want to make sure that you're taking advantage of every lead that you have to its fullest potential. And when you know how many doors you had to knock on, or how many people you had to talk to in an open house, or whatever it is to meet that person that is potential business, you'll treat them like they're important, because they are. When you're just dropping a couple $100 to get a lead, well, I mean, I got more money. I could always get another one. That must have just been a bad lead. There's no such thing as a bad lead. There's leads that are further down the funnel. There are leads that are further up the funnel. There are leads that are going to take longer and leads that are going to be the low-hanging fruit, but there's no bad leads. It's just a matter of when they're going to do business and how it is that you're going to handle that person. So when you become more skilled at what you actually do of cooking your hamburgers, like we're going back to this hamburger analogy here, that's where you can now pay to get some leads sent to you because you know you value each lead that you get and you know how to get the job done with them. So, social, be careful with this. Be careful. Don't waste too much time doing it organic, especially if you don't already have a following. Because if you've got like 100 friends on Facebook, I mean, that's 100 people. But Facebook doesn't always show your stuff to everybody. Same thing with Instagram or all these platforms. They all have the little algorithms that'll only show stuff that they think people would like. You don't always have control over that. If you do want control, that's where you get paid for the ads, and you get paid to target your information, your stories, your posts, your videos, your articles directly to them. Going back to the website thing, a popular thing is about a blog. So blogging about the area. Look, this is actually a good way long-term to really start establishing a presence. But it's a big waste of time when you're first getting your real estate license. Because what's going to happen is you're going to focus on, well, I got to write a real estate article. No, you need to go out there and sell something. You don't need to worry about writing a real estate article. You don't even know what you're writing about yet because you're brand new to real estate. Go out there and sell something. Go out there and meet people. Don't just hide behind your computer and hope that somebody comes knocking, asking for your business. Someday when you've built a large enough business, that'll happen where you do have people that come to you, that come knocking to you when you've built this whole machine, this whole system that generates and brings the leads to you. But when you're first starting out here, that's not always the case. That's very rarely the case, actually. Some of the other ways that you could get business. So cold calling, that's something as well. And you might say, oh, cold calling, I'm just going to call random people and see if they need to sell their house. Probably not. I mean, you could do that. But cold calling, this is going to be where you're calling maybe expired listings if you're trying to target sellers. Or maybe you're calling for sale by owners to try to convince them to sell their property with you. Maybe you're calling people that are pre-foreclosure, that have defaulted on their mortgage, and you want to see if they want to sell before they go into foreclosure. Now, that usually requires a little bit extra skill and tact and training to handle that as opposed to just, going straight into somebody that has plenty of equity in their property and they're going to sell it and it's not a short sale or anything like that. But that could be something as well. Now, again, you might be reluctant, just like you might be reluctant to do door knocking. You might be reluctant to do cold calling. You don't have to do these things. The thing is, though, you've got to figure out what you're going to do to generate business. Pick some of these up here and become an expert at them. And there's really even more ways we could talk about. Really just the community. Let's talk about that one really quick. However it is that you have some sort of community, whether it's maybe you work at some job right now, you have some sort of career, and you work with a bunch of people that need a place to live. Everybody needs a place to live. So again, going back to when we were talking about the maybe the MacDill Air Force Base thing, where maybe you are a veteran. You've got that community to tap into. Maybe you're a teacher and you work at a school with hundreds of other teachers. You've got that community to tap into. Maybe you're a first responder, same type of thing, or whatever your job is. It doesn't even have to be anything heroic or special like that. It could be that you're an accountant. Okay, well, who else that works at my accounting firm needs a real estate professional, needs to buy or sell a home, or at my accounting firm, who that works there has a friend or family member that needs to buy or sell a home. So that community, they also call this sphere of influence. And the sphere of influence are just the people that you have surrounding you. And with this sphere of influence, it's great because people already trust you, but it's not scalable as well because your sphere of influence is only so big. And if you really want to grow your business quickly, that's where you want to pull in these other ways to lead generate and not just rely on your sphere of influence. It's a great source of leads and you should not take it for granted. You should absolutely capitalize on it, but don't rely on that as your only source of leads. So this is something, I mean, everybody really has some sort of community unless you maybe have brand new moved to the area, but even then, maybe you just moved here from one of these colder states. Maybe you're from Ohio, maybe you're from New York, maybe you're from New Jersey, wherever. I mean, those seem to be some of the ones. Illinois, we've got a bunch of people that come from there. Maybe you're from one of these colder climates And you're going to try to now get your friends and family back from there. Oh, you got to come to Florida. You're going to love it here in Florida. Because when you start to identify, that goes back to the beginning, the type of client you want to focus on. So if you have roots in another state, if you have roots in, let's say, New Jersey, maybe you say, okay, well, when winter comes around, I'm going to make sure that I'm posting things about me, using my organic social to post things about me at the beach, so that way the people that are friends and family with me are going to get jealous, and you could tell them when they're jealous, hey, look, I'll sell you a home down here. There's great deals. There's so many great deals. Should pack things up, move it down here. It's awesome. You'll love it here. Maybe just go get a vacation property here. Sell them a vacation property. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a full-time residence. You know, there's so many ways that people can make money off of real estate. Not even just doing, you know, regular old school traditional rentals, but, you know, maybe the whole Airbnb thing. People are making fortunes with that. So maybe they want to cash in on that. So utilize your community, your sphere of influence to generate some business. And if they don't want business, if they don't want to do business with you, who do they know that needs your services? And look, we could go on even more for different sources of leads. The thing is, you've got to have your plan of attack of how you're going to generate leads, what you're going to do to get business, because this is our oxygen. Without leads, without people to help buy and sell their house, we don't have anything to do. We're just sitting around playing office, playing realtor. You don't want to be doing that. You want to be out there doing business, closing deals, but you need leads in order to do that. So that's one of the most important things I would say to lay out. And look, you might not know the specifics of each one of these, and yes, this may change down the road, but you want to start laying out a plan like this before you go commit to any sort of broker, because you want to have this plan in place so you know that, okay, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I want to make money, and now it's going to be obvious whether or not this broker is a good fit for me. So that's really the first 7 days, more than anything, is planning. That's what this whole show today has been about. Not just saying, oh, I want to make X amount of dollars, so that means I have to sell 5 homes, or 10 homes, or 20 homes, but really laying out your specific plan of what you're going to do. I mean, you don't have any business to be had yet, so get out there and lay out the plan and saying, okay, I'm gonna generate business. This is my budget for things. And look, I'm not a huge planner. I really don't go through and create big written plans for anything it is that I do. But I'm always thinking, I'm always strategizing. And this is what I'm strategizing whenever I'm thinking about doing anything. And you should be as well. You should be laying out your strategy. Don't even think about it as a plan, but your strategy for success. So use one of these sources. And look, if you're having trouble going through this planning process, our post-licensing course, that's one of the first things you do in our post-licensing courses is you lay out a plan like this. You figure out who it is that you're going to target, how you follow up with them, what do you do to really start cashing in and generating business. So if you haven't taken post-licensing yet, that's something you also want to be planning for right away. If you haven't already enrolled within those first 7 days, figure out when it is that you're going to take this course, and you want to do this sooner rather than later, because this is the type of stuff you're more focused on in post-licensing. It's not about the laws and rules like you do in pre-licensing. It's more about the real-world business side of things, of how to start generating business and how to start making money. And then when you do have your first few clients, how do you present a contract to them? How do you present an offer? How do you price a property to sell? And all these different things it is that you could do to start earning money in real estate. So it's a required course that you've got to take it sooner rather than later, because the longer that you wait to take this course, the more this information is going to become clear that it's so important. That, okay, well, you know, I'm struggling. I'm in the deep end of the pool and I'm trying to kick the swim up. This is your swim lesson. That's what the post-licensing course is. You know, pre-licensing, it's about the rules of the pool, that you can't run, that you can't bring glass. Post-licensing is now, okay, get in the water, and that you've got the license to actually sell some stuff. This is what you got to do to make some money with real estate. So that way, when you start getting into the deep end, that you're paddling out there, that you know the different strokes, you know the freestyle, you know the breaststroke, you know how to swim. That's what post-licensing will teach you. It'll teach you how to swim in this ocean that is real estate. So look, that's about all the time we've got for today. If you've got questions on any of this, give us a call. The phone number is 813-333-2676. Again, 813-333-2676. Give us a call. We'd love to help you out. We'd love to help you start your real estate career or take your business to the next level. So again, 813-333-2676. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, hit the little subscribe button, hit the like button. When you subscribe, just make sure you hit that little bell icon. It looks like a little bell, and that will give you notifications whenever it is that we go live so you don't miss out on any of this content that we put out there. Check out some of our past videos. We've got a lot of information that's going to help you jumpstart your real estate career. We call this show State of Real Estate. If I could find where I'm pointing to right there, State of Real Estate. We're here every Friday, 12 noon Eastern time. Do not miss it, but that's it for today. I'll see you guys next week. Hey, so if you're thinking about starting a real estate career, it could feel a little overwhelming sometimes. Look, that's completely understandable. That's why we're here to help. If you haven't already, check out our Success Center, tampaschool.com/success, or if you don't even know where to begin, give us a call. We'd love to help you out. We've got advisors standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way it is that we can. Our phone number is 813-928-0106. Again, that's 813-928-0106. Give us a call. We're the Tampa School of Real Estate. You're watching State of Real Estate.